All right, Mr. Brad Dunn.
What's going
What's
on,
up, buddy?
Baker?
Dude, I'm so excited for this because I feel like you and we talk. I mean, you're such a busy dude, right? But you and I talk once every 2 weeks, and we work on the business. We get in, we get out.
Yeah.
We got so much going on, but we just pretty much just implement.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to hold you captive for however long I can get you captive here, and we can just talk about I don't know. First off, just tell people kind of what you do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I run an online coaching business called Reliant Fitness. It's pretty new as far as a business standpoint goes. I've only been doing it for like 2.5 years, new to the whole online space as a whole. I wasn't doing anything online before that. But I was previously working as, a trainer, personal trainer in my younger years, went to college for kinesiology, sports medicine.
Really?
So I have background in the game. I just never really applied it in any sort of format per se. And then, working through the trades as a young adult, my 20s and 30s, early 30s, spent most of my career working as a mechanic, did some time in pipeline, running around, chasing big work like that, got into the fire department, and then, had another kid on the way, my daughter, who's like 2.5 now. And I kind of started the business out of necessity because I needed to generate a little extra income, because I wasn't getting the overtime I was getting before at the firehouse. So I started seeing all the online stuff get prevalent and decided to take a swing at it, and have been very fortunate to grow massively, and in a relatively short period of time, and I'm not like a numbers guy. I'm not going to throw like I'm Mr. Big Shot, but I grew a business and from zero, and an Instagram account from zero, and within 19 months hit 7 figures and 700,000 followers. So that's a pretty big, doing something right.
Yeah, you are for sure.
And it's been a massive blessing. So what I do for people is basically people who are looking to get back in shape or kind of take control of their life again because they've been pushed around, or they've put their dreams or their ambitions on the back burner for a multitude of reasons, and basically giving them the power back in their life through fitness and nutrition, and building up confidence through daily routines that help them become better and stronger physically and mentally. I just do my best to simplify the process as much as possible. Here's your workouts. Here's your meal plan. Here's a brief overview of the macros you need to do. Holler at me if you need anything. Show up to weekly calls if you have questions or check-ins.
Yeah.
And through that, I've built a massive community of people, and hundreds, if not thousands, of lives impacted positively, passively or directly, or passively or directly through my program, or through people just tuning in on Instagram.
Media. Yeah.
So it's been a huge blessing. Very fortunate.
Yeah. No, it's it's been so cool to just watch your growth even since you and I met.
Yeah.
Since you and I started working together. But I want to kind of like dissect your journey, because I know there's a lot of things like, you took us through kind of the broad 30,000 foot view, right? But there were some things that you kind of conquered and you talk about taking control. I hear you say that a lot. The things that you took control of in, the last, let's just say, decade of your life, right? To take that role in your family and take your family to where you want it to be, and wanting to make more income for your kids and everything.
Yeah.
Just welcome to another kid, which congratulations again on that, man.
Thank you.
But talk about like the early part of that, because you're working at the firehouse. You said you did some trades early on. Like, talk about those years.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Loved working as a mechanic, as a firefighter. Worked my ass off to get into the department, Cal Fire, going through academy, EMT, any external training that I could to like accelerate the process. But, a big part of it for me was I had to rebuild myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was like in my younger years, and even through my 20s, like I was like such a fucking knucklehead, dude. Like, getting DUIs, getting thrown in jail, getting in fist fights all the time, drinking like excessively to the point where it was very much a problem. So when I say take control, like the initial for me is like I had to take control of my own life. I had to take accountability for my actions, and I had to start prioritizing the things that I really wanted to take seriously. And that was like getting myself into a prime physical form for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, being in public service, that's a direct reflection of what you're capable of doing.
Oh, yeah.
And also like being an asset and not an accountability for my partners. And that goes double fold even for my kids, like setting a positive example for my kids. And, you know, my son fortunately has taken, you know, after me in a lot of strong ways. But when I found out I was having a daughter, that's like really kind of what shook me a little bit. And I'm like, she's going to judge every man based off of me.
Yep.
So it's time to step the fuck up and get very serious about how I live, how I look, and you know, kind of my true leadership roles as a man and as a father. And that's really when I started kind of cracking down on everything. And I dropped the drinking. You know, I'm 2 years sober, no booze, no drugs, no tobacco, nothing of that nature. You know, and have completely transformed and taken control of my life in that way. I lost 50 pounds, you know what I mean? I got to a point where I was like 235, 240, and I was unhappy with how I looked and how I felt. And I knew I needed to change because I never, you know, you go back into the towns or into the areas where you see people you went to school with and everybody's just like so washed the fuck up. Yeah. And I didn't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I knew I had potential and I knew I was meant for more. I just had to like shake my own fucking cage and get it together.
Yeah.
And I did, you know, I changed the way I ate. I changed the way I trained. I changed the way I live. And everything that I have now is a direct result of the actions I took in my own life. And so my goal is to recreate that for all of my clients, you know, give them the tools that are necessary to make those changes in their life. And it all stems with self first. You know, you can't put yourself into a positive power playing role if you are not a powerful individual. And how do you create a powerful individual? Strong body, strong mind, strong habits, you know, and that's where I come in and help people implement those things.
Man, that's, you talk about powerful though, that last line, we got to put that on some funnels. that was a huge one. But I feel like, man, the cool thing about, and I've gotten the pleasure to know you, I feel like in a couple of your friends from the same area, you know, you guys all have similar backgrounds and stories of what you guys have kind of come out of, right? And come away from much stronger. And you talk about just taking advantage of body, mind, spirit, habits, those types of things. You guys inspire, Brad, so many people. You know what I mean?
And it's been wild, bro. You know, it's been a crazy journey, you know.
And how did that start, right? Because I imagine when you were a guy, right, over in Cali in the trades, you're doing the things that you're doing. Were you present on social media before 5-6 years ago?
Not really. Like I had an Instagram and I was pumping some stuff out, but it wasn't anything like, it
was like
there was no intention with it.
Okay, so it was just like pictures, 100%. Like weekend pictures and
like,
stuff.
You know, it was, you know, partying, motorcycling, fucking knucklehead, and like just the small documentation of the stuff that I used to do. And it was funny too because like, you know, like back, you know, I know it was funny because homie said it perfectly yesterday, in the glory days of like social media and Instagram, where it was like easy to kind of go viral or start to gain a lot of attention. Like I like accidentally grew, you know, my account to, you know, a couple thousand followers, which back then was kind of a big deal, you know, because even when I met my current wife, you know, not that I didn't have a previous wife, but she's my wife now.
Yes.
When she met me, she's like, oh, wow, you got like, you know, 3,000 followers on Instagram. Like, you're kind of a big deal. And I was like, I'm not a big deal at all.
My wife said the same thing about my 1,500 followers in college.
You know, and yeah, and then that account actually got hacked and like deleted, and I like had to start all over. You know, but yeah, I mean, initially, like I started following, I changed my feed, you know what I mean? Like the people I was tuning into and the things I was watching, because I mean, social media is a very powerful thing. And what you consume is not just food and alcohol. It's also what you watch and what you listen to. And a lot of my feed used to be that whole thing: partying, chicks, motorcycles, cars, like that whole, you know, fast life. And then I changed it. I went into like, obviously, very heavy into fitness, entrepreneurship. People were starting businesses. People who were
was that after the, sorry to cut you off, was that after the account deletion? Like whenever you re-upload? That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's like a reset.
It was exactly. It was like a big reset, you know? And you know, now reflecting on it, I'm like, maybe that was like an intentional thing. That's awesome. But yeah, so I basically just curated my feed to stuff that was more positive and more encouraging. And I'm like, I could do this, you know, into a degree. I could share, you know, some things that might inspire some people in a sense. And I always enjoyed working out. So it started, you know, I started Reliant Fitness in August of 2022, sitting at my firehouse kitchen table. And it just like was something that came to me, you know, the name, everything, it just like a lightning bolt out of the sky, bro. Like, because my whole initial journey was basically creating myself into the most reliable individual possible. And whether that be as a fireman for my crew, like my engineer or captain or coworkers, like knowing they can trust me to get the job done, or just being that father or that man in my household, you know. So Reliant Fitness had just stuck, you know, building reliable people through these daily habits and rituals. And I literally just started sharing some workouts, you know, some of the stuff that I was doing, whether it was in the gym or in the firehouse or at home. And I just kept pushing it, you know, like, I didn't necessarily have any routine or strategy. I just was putting it out there.
Yeah.
And started to gain a little momentum. You know, I was getting, you know, kind of popular in the, you know, in the fire world as far as Instagram would go. And then, you know, paired up with Wes Watson for a while. You know, it was obviously an Instagram powerhouse with captivating attention and being polarizing, and learned, you know, some of his techniques and stuff and implemented them in my own way. And it just took off, you know. And then obviously kind of building the business behind it at the same time, you know what I mean? Curating my offer, identifying some of my ideal clients, and basically building up my services as my Instagram account grew and people were getting more familiar with what I was doing, more interest in how I was doing it, and turning, you know, obviously followers and eyeballs into paying clients.
Yeah. So how quickly, because you said it took off, how quickly did the Instagram account, whenever you're working with Wes or some of these people, how quickly did it become, you know, I've hit this reset button. I'm starting to kind of post more, maybe motivational, maybe workout content. I'm starting to kind of take control of my own life. I'm documenting it as I go. How quickly what did that bell curve look like? What did that growth curve look like?
So I want to say like between let's just say day one, August 22, like middle of the month ish, you know, to let's just fast forward 4 to 6 months, you know, December, January coming into the new year, I was already upwards of like 10,000 followers.
Nice.
Making, you know, hitting my first like $10,000-$11,000 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like relatively very fast. There's a lot of people in the online space that never make it to 10K.
Yeah.
In as far as followers, viewers, subscribers, and never have $10,000 months. And I did it like that.
Yeah.
You know, so it built up a lot of momentum and you know, like encouragement in myself. And I just was like, well, if I could, that was relatively easy. Like I'm gonna just keep pushing. You know. So yeah, it was, I'd say between 6 months, it was just like, and it didn't stop. It showed no sign of slowing down, you know, and even now it's been roughly 2.5 years. And now I'm at like 700 and some change. And it slowed down a little bit because Instagram started like kind of capping on me for some stuff, but it is what it is. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a very open, opinionated person. What you see is what you get. And that doesn't stop necessarily on my social media. And now that I have a large following and an influence, you know, I post some things and they're like, we're just going to shut this guy off for like 30 days.
Yeah.
Not necessarily shut me off, but like they blatantly have things in the monetization section where it's like, we're not pushing your stuff to new followers. We're not putting your stuff on the popular page. And as much as that bothers me, you know what I mean? Because like I'm not getting the same views, influx, and things as I was before. It hasn't necessarily directly affected the business. Like my months, I'm still having super powerful months, a lot of clients signing up, a lot of client retainment, you know what I mean? So as much as they try to impact the things that I do and say, they can't, you know.
That's the whole purpose of building what we've been trying to build since working together, is like this machine.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
I've been impressed this whole weekend. Obviously, we're just coming off of Lead Summit, which we just finished late last night. I was super impressed because And I thought this was so cool, and it was a character trait that I noticed in a lot of like the speakers and observers and the people that had actually the biggest businesses in the room. You guys were all the ones on the front row. You know what I mean? You guys are the ones asking the most questions. You guys are the ones taking the most notes. Like
Yeah.
that's something cool about you, but you weren't, and especially with you having as small a team as you do, like you were checked out, it seemed like for the weekend, like or checked in to the event
Very
and
much.
to the everything that was going on. And so it was very cool for me to see, you know, Brad's got all this stuff going on. Brad could have just showed up, caught a couple of speakers he wanted to catch, and then just like went back to the hotel and worked because he had better stuff to do or whatever the case may be. But you were there all the entire time,
Mm-hmm.
taking notes,
Mm-hmm.
super engaged, networking with people, talking to speakers after to see what we could pick up and what we could work with. Like that was really cool for me to see.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I've firm believer in like forever being a student. You know what
Yes.
I mean? So always learning and always adapting, you know, because the space itself is so dynamic. You know, even in the 2.5 years I've been doing it, like things have completely changed from when I first started. So it's like you either keep up with what's working or continue to push and find out what's going to work next and learn from people who are also killing it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you're going to get left behind, bro. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get left behind. I'm not trying to be somebody that like had a big business and lost it because he was too stubborn to
Evolve.
accept the fact that he needed to evolve. You know, so I love going to things like this and listening and watching people. And I didn't know what to expect, bro, but like, I felt like compelled to come out here. Like something was like, just go, you know, just go. And like, I've gotten really good at just listening to that voice because every time that I've listened to it, like something good has come from it. And there was a ton of value shared this weekend. And it's not like that it was anything like I didn't necessarily know
Yes.
per se, but it was just put into a perspective where I'm like, okay, I really need to focus on that because that's a weak area for me. You know what I mean? And then it's also reassuring to hear people that are like absolutely smashing it, that we still share some of the very concrete values of like, it's always going to be the hard work. It's always going to be the consistency, and it's always just going to break down to showing the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. There is no magic. Like that is the magic. Like bringing yourself to do those things every day.
Yeah.
You know, and that was I don't know how many other people caught this in the room or in the thing, but it's like when I think Michael Smoke was like, you know, well, how many of you guys have posted every day for a month?
Yeah.
How many of you guys have posted every day for 6 months, a year? And if you looked around the room when that question was answered, and the only people that still had their hand up when it went past 6 months in a year were the people that had the most successful businesses.
Yeah.
And that's not a coincidence.
No.
Like, not a coincidence at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you're looking at, you know, what you need to do to start taking your business to the next level, get very consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. But no, I think the consistency aspect is in your business, in your life, in your fitness, in everything, in your relationships too. I know that's a super important thing to you, right? So
Yes.
I think it is the biggest thing, and I think it's hard for coaches to remember a lot of that stuff, and it's why, I mean, Mike talks about it all the time. You know, if you treated your business like you do your fitness, you wouldn't have a business problem, right?
Yeah.
Like you would grow your business as much as you wanted on command,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's hard for trainers to make that parallel, but it's like the biggest parallel.
Yes.
Between fitness and business.
100%. 100%. And I stated something very similar to that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're talking about the importance of systems and things in your business, and it's like, well, you know, most of us here in the room are in the fitness space, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a program, we have a routine for everything we've done to achieve a physical result for ourselves and our clients. Why would you not do the same thing for your business? Why would you not program a routine for your business on how to run it like a well-oiled machine? And then you get to a point where you don't even think about it, and you just do the same thing every day and change small contexts and things like that. Pay attention to certain numbers and KPIs, and then just keep running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's the same thing with fitness, bro. Like, and the relations that the fitness realm can bring into life, business, anything else, relationships is so vast and so powerful. And I don't think enough people just realize that.
Yeah.
And it's something that my clients, and I'm sure a lot of other people too, but it's like, it becomes very profound after, like, let's just say six to 12 months of like being like a strong practitioner of showing up and like hitting your workouts, dialing in your nutrition, focusing on your mindset, and really working to control like your habits and being more proactive than reactive. And like they all say it, you know, like, dude, this program is like, has completely helped me pour discipline and consistency and focus into a large aspect of things in my life outside of fitness and nutrition. You know, like I just had one of my clients message me this morning and he told me, you know, like this program has completely changed my life. And I'm like going into this massive interview and business opportunity with this huge company. And me, you know, like 8 to 10 months ago would have been like terrified to go into this. And now like I know that I'm going to fucking smash it. And he's like, that's a direct like result of working through this program and building that confidence in myself to show up every day and just conquer. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like that's all it is. You know, when you master the art of showing up and you build confidence in motion and you do it for long enough, there's nothing you can't do. You know, if you just take it one step and one day at a time and remain consistent to the plan.
Absolutely. You mentioned whenever you kind of got to your first 10, 11K months and now you've had several months over 100K, right? So what did you hit any, like Will Jerome yesterday talked about, you know, the bottlenecks around the 20 to 30K mark, and in between 10 and 30, typically coaches hit some sort of a bottleneck. What was your experience scaling from that range when you first started? Because that was a quick route to 5 to 10K, and then getting to where you are now. Where did you kind of experience bottlenecks, and how did you overcome those?
So I would say the bottleneck that was the most profound was like that 40, 50K mark, hitting that. And then I kind of limboed in like the 70, 80K mark for a little bit. And then I started hitting, you know, 90 and even 100K months fairly consistently. And it's literally just systems and practice. Like the more effective your systems are into being able to, like what you guys do, take people who are viewers, subscribers, and getting them funneled into somebody who's, you know, now in a nurture sequence, whether it's from a free product or, you know, an ebook or a meal plan. Macros. And now they're in a pipeline to where you can curate them to be like, here's this, you know, program, or here's this, or how are you doing now? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just those added touches of like, you know, when you go from just being straight up on social media where people, they see your stuff, they like your content, they watch for like several months before they even consider signing up. But it's like, if you get them in the pipeline early and they're watching your content daily, once again, consistency, and then you're getting some sort of reach out to them through a product like, hey man, how's that macro calculation going? Or how's that meal plan treating you? How's that shopping list going? You know, and then they realize that even with the free shit that they can't do it on their own. And they're like, okay, I'll sign up. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's just those added touches and taking those people from a viewer or like or subscriber and getting them to being a paying client at any level. Yeah. You know what I mean? Conversion is conversion, whether it's a fucking $30 sale or a $3,000 sale, you know, but once you have that initial sale, even if it's 30, you know, and they're happy with the product, then they're going to be much more likely to spend the additional money on something. Yeah. Like I've had a ton of, I released a 5-week workout program that was $50, $50, barrier to entry, super low. I'm pretty sure anybody who's even remotely serious will spend $50. Yes. You know what I mean? And I called it Chin Check because it was like something that would like prepare you for working with me on a regular program, an elite program. But it's just a workout plan. There's no nutrition, no one-on-one, no coaching. Yep. You know, and I had a ton of people that would run that 5-week program and then graduate to an elite program because they enjoyed it so much and they realized that they saw a ton of results and success and built confidence quickly while following a plan. Yeah. You know, and then it's like, well, shit. I mean, if that happened in 5 weeks with this plan, what's going to happen in 6 months when I actually like get to talk with this dude on a weekly basis? I have a meal plan. I have a training plan that's a little bit more curated towards what I'm trying to do, you know? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, bro, I can get you close to or where you want to be in a matter of several months. You know, like most of my guys, and I work with females too, but men specifically is a larger majority of my client base. You know, I've repeatedly got them in amazing shape inside 6 months when they've failed for the last 10 years. Yes. 6 months versus 10 years. You know what I mean? And I try to be very blatant about that. It's like, yeah, you know, like maybe the price tag is intimidating, but what's your fucking time worth to you? Like, are you tired of stonewalling this process? Like every couple months, year after year, and you're just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Well, let's alleviate that frustration and compress your timeline to success by giving you the proper tools and structure you need to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to step away from business for a second.
Yeah.
Talk about the importance of, as you continue to build your family, your wife, right? Like that support system that's truly around you 24/7.
I mean, dude, without a solid wife and a good home foundation, I would be useless. You know what I mean? Like, she holds it down for me because I mean, I'm in the business all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard for me to step away. I haven't built up a big enough team to where I'm like, you guys got this. You know what I mean? I can check out after like 4 or 5 p.m. Like I'm still pulling strings and manipulating things like into the evenings. But she is very understanding and accepting of, we have what we have now because of that work ethic that I put forward, and I tell her, it's not going to be like this forever. We're still in the very early stages of this business. It's been 2.5 years. Give me, another couple of years of really grinding it out and polishing this thing and turning it into even more of an effective, well-oiled machine. And we will get to reap all the benefits of the hard work that I put forth. And I will have to dedicate a very small fraction of the time that I am now.
Yes.
But at the same time, like my kids are only young once. So I need to learn how to unplug. I need to learn how to tell people fucking no. Yeah. I need to take certain days off and just really focus on family. But it's hard for me to do. It's hard. Like just like the baby boy, is like her baby. Like my business is my baby. Yeah. You know what I mean? In relation, not saying that my baby isn't my baby, but it's like the love and affinity that like mothers have for the newborns, where they're like constantly holding him, constantly coddling, constantly doing this. I feel the same way with my business because I built it, and now it's like this monstrous thing, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like I just want to see it continue to grow.
Yeah, I think there's a fundamental difference too between men and women in that regard. I think it's nature versus nurture, right? Yep. They I feel like are drawn to that portion, and for me, I'm the same way, right? Like I'm working way more than I probably should be. I'm very, very bad at saying no. If somebody needs something, then I always want to be available for all of you guys. Right. Like, and I do end up sacrificing a lot of time where I could be like today, for example. I've been here for about the last 72 hours straight. Yeah. And, it probably would have been nice for me to just like, sleeping a little bit late and hang out with her today and like before the week starts again. Yep. But there is always that balance. Yes. You know what I mean? And that's why I wanted you to talk to it, because I know how hard you work and how many hours you put in. My wife is the same exact way. She holds down everything. Like I would go home to chaos because I'm not there doing all the stuff that needs to be done to keep, everything in order to manage. Like we're freaking renovating the entire house right now, and she's the one that's like coordinating most of that stuff so that I can actually, continue to build and build and build and get it to, again, like a point like what you're talking about, a point where that doesn't always have to be the reality. Right. Right. But it's so crucial to me to have that kind of yin and yang. Yes. So crucial.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a lot of what we're doing too, in a sense. Like if you're building a personal brand, you better be in front of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like flat out. I've had a lot of guys hit me up over the last year and like, how do you do it? Like, how where are the people out that are working for you? I'm like, bro, it's basically just me. It's you. Yeah. And they're like, well, I hired this person, this person, this person, and they're still in all regard very, very small as far as following client base. And I'm like, well, you're trying to build a personal brand and you're not even necessarily standing behind it. You're having somebody else do all your bidding work and talking to all your people, and you're expecting to have a high level of sales and retainment, and no one's dealing with you. Like, people, like, especially in the online fitness space right now, like what I think has been a huge sale point for me is like, when people sign up with me, they know they're working with me. Yes. I don't have contracted coaches. I don't necessarily have anybody who's doing all of my dirty work. I'm still very involved with everybody, at all levels, as long as they reach out and tell me like, hey, I need some help with this, but at the same time, like closed mouths don't get fed. Correct. I can't help you if you don't communicate with me. But it is what it is, but I very much involved, spend a lot of time taking care of the people I have, and I spend a lot of time, generating conversation and trying to convert people who are in my DMs to customers. And it's all relations and communication, and it takes a shit ton of time. But if you're not willing to do it, you're not going to convert these people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
until you're a fortified enough business to where it's like, bro, my business and my results speak for itself. Like, you don't need to ask me questions. It's like, are you in or are you fucking out?
Yeah.
And I'm almost there.
Yeah.
Like, almost there, so like, it's just a little more time in the seat, man, and continue to making it an efficient, oiled, well-running machine.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that, and I want to talk about kind of like your vision for where you see everything headed in 2025, especially coming off of this event and kind of things that you, like you said, you knew a lot of it, but just understanding kind of these are the places. But
right.
I agree with you in terms of where you're at, having spent so much time inside of your business is, the things, the little pieces that we're putting into play that we've kind of like dabbled in because you are so strapped right now. You're so busy at scale. I think we both know what this thing looks like, right? It's for you. The crazy thing is it's not like even a bunch more stuff. It's just doing some of the things you are doing whenever you do generate these massive influxes of business, is doing them instead of maybe once a month, because since you're onboarding everybody, it's hard to manage the influx.
Right.
Doing them once a week, right? When we do have the team in place to help you out, because it is this machine that Brad's running, that Brad's still handling, that Brad can have his hands on.
Right.
So I want to kind of talk to you about what are you going, like, what does this look like in 2025 for you to continue to take it to the next level?
Yeah. I mean, I just flat out, I have to get better at delegating, giving responsibilities that I don't necessarily have to do to my one or two of my assistants, or even getting more people involved.
Yeah.
I do have 2 people that do some stuff for me, but it's just getting them trained up and giving them more responsibility to take over the small things that I don't necessarily have to be tied to every day. Because the more time I have for myself, the further I'm going to be able to push the business and introduce new things or better services, rather than just like answering questions like, can I trade my strawberries for bananas today? Like, I shouldn't be answering that question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't be taking up time on my day.
Correct.
Or someone, hey, I'm going on vacation. Is it okay to skip workouts? It's like, of course, like, you can skip whatever you want. Like, you get what you give, though.
Yeah.
Like, just don't make a habit of it. But yeah, it's just continuing to delegate and maybe hire more, continue to develop a team in a sense, but a good team, not just like fill a position because there's a void. Like, have somebody that will do the job well. And, because I do care about my business, and it is scary hiring out to people, because like, especially being in a personal brand, like if they screw up or drop the ball big time, no one knows that it was them. It's all just it's a reflection of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's terrifying, but I have a couple good people on the roster already. It's just getting them trained up to be effective. And obviously, really nailing down some of my processes, because with growing and with getting super busy, like, there's been a lot of things where I've just been like flying by the seam of my pants, you know what I mean? And I can't do that forever. I can probably do it for a week or 2, but it's like, I need to just continue to solidify and iron out like my process to be like, okay, I'm posting this today. And it's like, no, Mondays and Tuesdays, we're working on like top funnel content, Wednesdays, mid funnel content, and et cetera down there. I'm pumping YouTube on this day. I'm building programs on this day. I'm doing client relations on this day. Just giving everything a time in a day versus just like trying to please everybody every day, which has been a problem, because that's what I'll do. Sometimes I'll just, as problems arise, I'll go put them out, and takes up a shit ton of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you get 3/4 of the way through the day, and it's like, well, everything I wanted to do today just got railroaded, like super hard.
I've been reactive instead of proactive. Yeah.
Versus telling people like, okay, dude, like, I'll get to that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because that's when I handle client relations, direct client relations, or client one-on-one calls, so setting, giving these jobs and giving these tasks a time and a place, rather than just being like taking them as they come.
Yeah. It's been one of the coolest things that we've been able to get into, but it's also been one of the scariest things, like you're saying, of, we grew this thing to a 6-figure a month business with Mike, Felicity, and I. And it got pretty uncomfortable around 85 a month ish when we were dealing with 200 or 300 people that are all in the software that all have a million questions about a million things. And it's like, okay, I'm on, 50 calls a week. Mike's on 50 calls a week. Felicity's on 50 calls a week. And then we're like, well, there's all these things we need to do. And it's like, no one has time to do them.
Yeah.
Right. And so as and by the way, but everyone, we got so many compliments on the event this past weekend.
It was a great event.
It was because of the staff. We had one meeting, like we had been talking about the event loosely, obviously, but we had one meeting the night before, after check-ins the night before, and where I kept the staff for 15 extra minutes. It was 8 p.m. at night already, and I was like, guys, I don't care. Like, commit this to your memory. Make this your wallpaper for the next 3 days. I don't like whatever you got to do. This is where we need you. This is when we need you here. Here's what each of these roles means. Like, this is what we need from you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they freaking, 3 of the people, Brad, have been working for us for a week. And
That's
they
awesome.
executed at such a high level and did things that weren't on the schedule that were just so cool. Like Jared was talking about how the staff just like saw him in the lobby every day at the hotel and were just like, hey, hop in, we'll give you a ride. You don't need an Uber. Like, just random stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Above and beyond. You know what I mean?
And that's huge. That's huge to have people like that are driven and self-starters just like you guys are.
Yes.
And that's in a sense like a big reason why I decided to work with you guys, because I noticed that you guys work as hard as I do. And I'm like, well, that's who's deserving of basically kind of helping my business and helping me, is someone who's willing to do all the same work that I do every day. I don't want to deal with a 19-year-old kid who's good at building software, but has horrible relations outside of like, hey man, I need help, and the little fucks fucking running around Dubai, like unable to get a hold of them. I'm like, that's a problem for me.
Yes.
I know with you guys, like if I have something, not that it ever really happens, but it's like, I know that I can either get you same day, if not next day.
Yes.
And that's reassuring for me. And the systems that we have in place are very effective. Like I don't have nothing catastrophic has come across the board yet, totally. So, it's been great.
Yeah. And it really, like, as we've built out this team, that's what I noticed very early on, even when Felicity came on, because it was just me and Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And as we brought on Felicity, what we noticed is, like, you talk about putting systems in place. What we noticed is that as you grow a team, all of your inefficiencies as the owner, as the founder, get magnified with every person you bring on. So like if you're really shitty with how you put your things, in your case, it might be programming for a specific goal. In our case, it might be a specific SOP on how to handle a 911 on the software or something. Like if I'm inefficient in explaining that or handling it myself, I'm just kind of like, just case by case basis.
Yeah.
Somebody that comes into your company can't do the case by case basis because they don't, obviously, that number one, they don't, not, this isn't Felicity. Felicity cares more than anyone, but they don't care as much as you typically, because it's not their baby. Right. But if you're inefficient in teaching this person how to do something, they're going to be inefficient in doing the thing.
Right.
I know it's a groundbreaking concept, but at this point we have 50 something SOPs and playbooks that we have videoed out, step-by-step out, put cautionary notes on all of them for all of our employees. And so now it's just like somebody comes in the business, like these last 3 people that come in, you come in the business, you get a folder of things. You're going to work through these things in order. This is how you're going to do it. If you have any questions, then let us know. But in a week, you're a fully functioning member of the team now. Like that's how it looks. And that has been such a breath of fresh air, because I don't have to now block off, even though I'm super busy, block off 2 weeks to train someone one-on-one because I don't have anything to give them outside of just me talking to them.
Right. No, and that's something that I need to be a little bit better about myself, is basically just pen to paper or making a spreadsheet of like what my duties are in certain areas, so that when I do bring somebody on or when I do give one of my assistants more responsibility, it's just like, this is what you need to do. Like, this is it, like step by step, day by day. You know what I mean? Like remove the thought process, remove the chances for error, and just give them a very clear cut way to do what you do,
to execute,
and that's just it. Cause it's not like it's difficult. A lot of the things that we do are not difficult. It's just trying to do all the things every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even just like plugging them in, like, with messaging, like, hey, I need you to basically sit down between like 4 and 5 and hammer out all of these messages.
Yeah.
You know, turn on some good music, turn off your notifications, and just hammer for like an hour. Whether that's her or whether that's me. You know what I mean? And it's just small stuff like that takes time. It eats time away from doing other things that are of importance.
And taking that a step further too, so this is what we tell, as you have people in messages handling some of those things, this is what we tell our coaches to do is first video, like Loom. You're familiar with Loom. I know you are, but Loom out, right? DMs, right? Successful DMs, essentially, like where you've booked calls or where you've closed somebody or where you've done, and just video, hey, here's how the conversation started from whatever it was, whether it was they swiped up on a story or they voted on a poll or they just DM'd you, I want to work with you.
Right.
And then you just Loom out, here's what they said, here's what I said and why I said it.
Right.
Right. Here's what they said, here's what I said back and how I said it. Here's what I said, here's what I said back and how I said it. And then you just like go through and video out, this is how I talk. This is my thought process when I'm talking to somebody. Do that for 3 successful conversations that are different use cases, and then give them a folder of these 3 videos.
Yep.
Right. And then somebody can now, for 85, 90% of conversations in different topics, they know exactly how Brad would answer, why Brad would answer that way, and how Brad talks.
Right. And that's powerful because obviously with a large platform and a large audience, like I can't be everywhere at once. You know,
and
you
like, want to be authentic still.
I do want to be authentic still. And I do like, there's no denying, if these people do go from a DM sequence to into a program, that they're going to work with me. But that doesn't mean that I have to be on every single message or every single phone call.
Because you'd rather focus on the people that are coming and ready, like they're ready to trust you already.
Absolutely. I want to put my time into the people that have invested in me.
Yes.
If you're afraid to invest, and it's like, you don't get my attention.
Yep.
Like flat out. Like like I said earlier, like you are either in or you're the fuck out. Like, if you're out, you don't get to deal with me. You don't get to occupy space in my day or my time or my mind, but if you're an active client and you're working with me and you're invested in the process, then I'm going to give you that time. It's just that, but it's just getting those things in order and ironing out those processes and, continuing to fine tune it, so that here over the next, ideally 4, 6, 8 weeks, it's just like bam, 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 bam. These 2 assistants I have know exactly what their roles are for each day, broken into, here's your primary objective. And if those things are slow or non-existent for the day, secondary objective, this is what you go do if you have the time. And if neither one of those things need to be done, then kick back and enjoy yourself. Go work on something else.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
I love that concept, by the way, too, because I've always been a person of like, as long as the work's getting done, don't really care the time of day or how it's getting done. Like, just get it done. Like, that's all I care about.
Right.
So if you're somebody who needs the mental break of going to work out in the middle of the day, go work out in the middle of the day so you can reset and come back and crush it. Because I'd rather have you mentally at your peak and ready to actually work and excited to do so and enjoying being a part of this than being miserable, stuck to your computer during times of day where you're not, productive. Because I've always hated the concept of a 9 to 5, because if I just got to go sit somewhere for 8 hours and I don't have 8 hours worth of things to do, I'm going to figure out ways to expand everything and to take it way longer. I'm going to figure out ways to bullshit all day.
Right.
Like,
that's what I'm trying to eliminate with them is like, I pay them a decent wage, you know what I mean? But I'm like, it's still like a part-time wage. But I tell them like, bro, like if you really break it down, like what I want you to do, I only need you to work for 2, maybe 3 hours a day. I just need you to be hyper effective in that 2 or 3 hours a day. Like literally shut out the world and hammer down on the goal, the objective. And you can have the rest of the day to go do whatever, cause like, that's the thing that I've learned, obviously working for myself, like you're saying, like a 40-hour work week, 50-hour work week, most of that time, like I'm just there. I'm not doing anything. I'm just a body, where it's like when I started working for myself, I'm like, dude, I can knock out an entire day's worth of work in 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a big part of why I like started getting up super early, because I would do all the things I needed to do as far as like necessity, priority before most of the world was even awake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it was like, all right, well, cool. All the hard shit's done. Now I can take on everybody else's problems, and be present in my business, and it's just ironing those things out, man, and I mean, it's people, I want them to enjoy what they do. I want them to be effective in it. And I want them to learn how to do it for themselves too, because we don't need to, I don't need him on the hook for 8 hours. I sure as hell don't pay him for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't have 8 hours of work for them to do.
Yeah.
You know, in most cases.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, I'm super excited I'm super excited to honestly just get to play any tiny part in what you're doing. It's so fun, and it was cool watching, being able to recognize you for everything you're doing yesterday, and watch everyone's kind of like eyes get a little wide, and are like, Brad, how much have you done this month? And you're like, oh, I'm sitting at 75, and it's like the 17th of the month, and everyone's in there that's trying to get to 75 a year.
Yeah.
Right. For the most part, like trying to come learn and get their feet off the ground. It's important for people like you to be in the room, and why I'm so grateful that you made the trip down is it makes it like it's easy to look at Reliant Fitness on Instagram and think that Brad's this larger than life godlike figure that is just not touchable. Like you couldn't reach out, but for you to be in the room and for you to talk to people and for you to network and for you to spend the time that you spent and ask the questions that you asked, like it made people feel like I was talking to a guy last night that was sitting next to you for most of the night. And he was like, just getting to like see like somebody like Brad in person and hear him talk about those numbers, like this is normal, made me feel like it could be normal.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about these types of events, and 100%. So cool you being here.
100%. And that was a big part, in my early part of it, is getting around people who are like smashing it, doing really well, becoming powerful, and just the way they threw some of the numbers around and some of the things, and how calm and collective they talked about it. I was like, that's fucking real. Like you can do that. You can do that. And then I started doing it, and I'm like, whoa, that was in a strange sense relatively easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what else can we do?
Well, you think stuff's gonna fall from the sky and everyone's gonna celebrate and stop and clap for you, but it's just kind of like, whoa, I just did that thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's a blessing and a curse too, because like every month I'm just trying to beat what I've done before. Yeah. And it's just, I know you guys are really big on reoccurring, and I'm still trying to build out my reoccurring thing. Like let me make something very clear. Like I have very high performing months, and very, very, very small percentage of that is reoccurring. Yeah. So I'm out there chasing people down on a daily basis, or, which has also become, a sense of reoccurring is people who are existing clients recommitting for longer programs. Yeah. But like I'm out there grinding every day to pump those numbers, and it's not easy, but it's like every month on the 30th or the 31st at midnight, fucking scoreboard goes right back to zero. And it's like, all right, celebrate for like 10 minutes. Like, woo, that was sick. Yeah. All right. Time to hammer down again. Let's get like 5 hours of sleep, and it's back to D-Day. Yeah. And it's fun, but also sometimes it's just flat out fucking exhausting. Yeah. It can be. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. But to me, like that's the next step with you too, right? Is figuring out what that recurring model can look like. Yeah. To where, even if it means taking a step back from the massive months for a second, you don't have to go all the way into recurring right now. Right. But taking a step back from them, and maybe even alternating, like maybe we sell a recurring, and then once you sell a recurring, now you have permission to go sell a PIF, right? And then sell something else recurring, and then go sell a PIF, and then sell something. Because once we get you up to 20, 30, 40K a month recurring, and you wake up the first of the month every month knowing that 40K no matter what is going to go into the bank account for the business,
life's going to change drastically.
Yes, because then you can go once you get that recurring to a good spot where you and the family's good, all your overheads covered, the gym's taken care of, and it's like PIFs are just, you go close 100K a month on top of that, that's 140K. Yeah. You didn't have to worry.
And that's what I'm trying to make the norm, is like 125 to 150K months, just like like no problem. Yeah. And I know I can do it. It's just systems and processes, just getting the right things in order. So once we, identify what those items are and the routine in order to make it happen, it's going to happen. Yeah. It's just getting the right plays in order and executing the play. That's all it breaks down to. I know I have the magic. I know I have what it takes. You do. But at the end, like they're saying, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Yep. From James Clear. So get your fucking systems in order.
Well said. Brad, I appreciate you, again, being here this weekend, and meant the world to Mike and I and to the whole team. And appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday too.
My pleasure, bro. I mean, I love doing this stuff, and it's been rad to come out here, meet you guys, be a part of this. get some recognition in the room with some heavy hitters, and just be like, hell yeah, like I belong here. You know?
You do, man. You do. And I know it meant a lot to a lot of people to get to just interface with you and hear you talk about some of those things. So I appreciate your time, man.
My pleasure.
I hope you travel safe back, and we are going to either come out and hang out at the gym, or we're going to bring you back out to come hang out here. We gotta do more of these things.
Please do, man. I mean, like I said, you guys are welcome out anytime. So happy to get that calendared and figured out.
Right. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Sir. Sweet, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, dude. It's all good. I love it.